Well, here we are. True colors left everything in shambles. And this pure state of chaos is gonna be our starting point for season 3 of Amphibia. In this video, we're taking on the task of bringing order into this mess to discuss all the scenarios we might encounter in Amphibia's final season. Anne and the Plantars are on Earth. Marcy managed to fix the music box and send the group back to Los Angeles, thereby saving them from King Andrias. The main motive behind teleporting at all in that terrible situation was to separate Andrias from the box, so that he cannot implement his evil schemes. Unfortunately, even if you look really closely, the box is nowhere to be seen during the episode's final frames on Earth. With the box remaining in Amphibia, chances are quite high Andrias is still in a position to go through with his plans, at least partly. Or maybe not? When the three girls first used the box, teleporting caused the box to discharge. Why should it be any different this time? What's more, if the box was discharged again, that means that the calamity powers went over to an animate vessel once more. And that's definitely a good thing, considering that the uncharged box is basically useless in Andrias' eyes. However, right now it is unclear who the new power carriers are. Do the powers transfer to those who use the portal, or do they enter those who are closest to the gems? Last time the girls fulfilled both criteria. Currently, the green power and the red power could either have returned to Marcy and Sasha, or they might have found new builders in the Plantars. The former is highly likely, because of the prophecy, and the season finale further proved that the calamity powers will be an essential asset in defeating the legendary beast. Additionally, the calamity powers may be the only thing that could still save Marcy, but we'll be talking about Marcy later in this video. The other alternative doesn't seem unlikely either. The box and the gems per se aren't what allows traveling to other worlds. It's the powers that live inside of the gems, meaning even without the calamity box, should all calamity powers be gathered on Earth right now, in theory, the planners can return to Amphibia. They just need to find a way to channel their powers, so that a portal can be opened. The easiest way to achieve that is probably building a new device, which should be feasible using human technology, one way or another. How exactly are the planners going to figure all of this out? We know that there is information about the box on Earth. Firstly, in Los Angeles, there's at least the book that Marcy found. Secondly, Sprig's mom, who now confirmedly took the box and presumably brought it to Earth, should be on Earth too. Possibly the planners will make use of both, because the book's author is a person called Dr. P, what may be an abbreviation for Dr. Planner, and Sprig's mom probably left a few hints on where to find her in the book, just in case someone should ever get in trouble concerning the box, though it's mysterious that she lost the box at all. We'll discuss that towards the end of the video, so stick around. Meeting Sprig's mom is unquestionably the best case scenario. Next to Andrias, she is the only person who knows everything there is to know. Based on Andrias' explanations in the season finale, he probably opened up to her and their other friend of his own accord, by telling them all about the box, his ancestors, and their conquests, what eventually led up to her leaving. One of the hardest issues that need answering right now is Andrias' true motive behind all of his actions, and how that is connected to the beast and the prophecy. I'd be pretty disappointed if the beast turns out to be a mindless bunch of pure muscle power, whose only purpose in the story is to be a strong final enemy, though I find it hard believing that's the case. The beast is officially Andrias' master, hence it must possess a certain degree of intelligence. Moreover, it wasn't Andrias who brought the world conquering into existence, his ancestors did, presumably while serving the beast too. Thus, the beast has been around since these ancient times, and is actively controlling Andrias according to its unwavering plans. Taking all of this into account, a few issues arise. For starters, as claimed by Andrias, Newtopia was flourishing up until the point when Sprig's mom stole the music box, suggesting that the beast's plans were being executed at that time. Fundamentally, from the beast's perspective, there was nothing to worry about. Why then was it already hiding at that time and used Andrias and his ancestors to rule over the world. Said era should have been the peak of its power and influence. Something in its past must have caused it to rely on others. Perhaps the events that drove it into this situation are strongly related to the root of its desire to conquer other worlds. Or as another option, the beast may not even be physically powerful, but could be mind-controlling Andrias. After all, Miss Planner once deemed him to be trustworthy, until one random day he started speaking of world conquering, as if he had suddenly changed. Moreover, I'm deeply confused by the wall painting in the throne room. What is depicted here definitely isn't the past, because the painting includes the prophesized heroes. Hence what we see here is either how Andrias envisions the future, or it's some kind of alternative prophecy. The thing with prophecies is that they aren't necessarily equal to a strictly predestined fate. In short, there may be several prophecies, several possible versions of the future that may or may not come to be. And oh frog, let's hope the anti-prophecy stays fictional, because it's gruesome. Andrias revealed that he intends to invade other worlds that he doesn't rule over yet. Nonetheless, the citizens of Amphibia aren't safe. In the painting, there are dozens of amphibian skulls piled up, and the whole world's on fire. Undoubtedly, Andrias will not hesitate to erase anyone who opposes him. And knowing the brave citizens of Amphibia, there will be many. In connection to what we said a minute ago, the beast is sort of in the background, almost like it's hiding in the shadow, using Andrias as his puppet to do the dirty work. Another thrilling detail that is easily missed are the mossmen in the painting's bottom left corner. Judging by the way they are portrayed, they seem to be obeying Andrias. What's odd considering that Season 1's mossman was non-hostile and likely belongs to a species that Andrias' ancestors oppressed. Could the beast be controlling them too? Anyway, in addition to the mossmen, many more non-amphibian species currently live in Amphibia, suggesting that Andrias' ancestors had already conquered all worlds the Calamity Box connects to, except for Earth, which is why Earth is Andrias' first target. For that reason, he did his best preventing Anne from leaving Amphibia. Conveniently, she managed to escape, and will try to warn humanity of the coming invasion. And here's another interesting thought. We established before that the Calamity Box is still in Amphibia, and 2.5 gemstone powers may also be there. Consequently, instead of the planners returning to Amphibia for the final showdown, Andrias could bring the showdown to Earth. Admittedly, this would be very different from how I always imagined the finale, but considering that Andrias literally commands an army of robots, I also have a hard time imagining a bunch of frog farmers standing any chance. In order to defeat his tremendous forces, technology of similar standards is necessary and can be found on Earth. Can Anne convince humanity to prepare for an attack from another world though? I'm curious how Anne decides to handle the whole situation anyway. She is suddenly back on Earth, unsure about how long she's been gone in Earth time, and finds herself in the middle of a highway, while all attention is immediately drawn to the frog people that accompany her. Her first instinct will be to go to her parents' house, but will she even get there safely? Word spreads fast in the age of the internet, and I bet the US government would be quite quick to react to anthropomorphic frogs. Anne and the planners being separated is literally the worst thing that could happen, with the only exception being if that results in finding Mrs. Plantar. She came to Earth all alone with no knowledge about life there, so it wouldn't be surprising if she's been taken into custody. What explains why the Calamity Box wasn't in her possession when Marcy discovered it. Anyhow, Anne's parents will be speechless when their long-lost daughter rings their doorbell and asks if her frogs can stay with them. Unavoidably, Anne simply has to tell them the truth about Amphibia and about what she must do going forth. Convincing them to help may not be easy, but I'm sure they'll trust their daughter, especially since Anne has grown so much and can convey how much she cares. Now, since we're already talking about different worlds, consider the following. Andrias explicitly stated Newtopia's glorious days ended thousands of years ago, and he goes on explaining how the memories of that time have been lost over the generations, what provides additional evidence that basically everyone that was alive back then then is dead by now. Save him because Andrias newts have an outstandingly high lifespan. So how can the female frog that stole the music box be Sprig's mom when Sprig is confirmedly only 10 years old? Of course, we do not even have confirmation that she is his mother at all. But here's how this might work out. 1,000 years ago, she took the box and immediately traveled to one of the other worlds. In the other worlds, time passes differently than in Amphibia. She stayed in the other world for days, months, or even a few years, thereby skipping millennia of Amphibia time, and then returned home not so long before the current time, hoping Andrias would be dead. Or because she deemed it safe to go back, since Andrias probably thought she was dead. It was never addressed if Hopop is her father or Mr. Planner's father, and assuming the latter makes this a lot easier. Well, being of the impression staying in Amphibia poses no problem, she started a family with Mr. Planner, but soon after Polly's birth, she was discovered by Andrias, who promptly arranged for a few herons to attack Wardwood, forcing Mrs. Planner to act and leave Amphibia immediately. Apart from Miss Planner, the time discrepancy is crucial to the plot in a few more ways. Assuming time passes faster on Earth than it does in Amphibia, even if the planners need weeks to return, they might just come back to the almost exact scene they left behind. Andrias wouldn't have had the opportunity to wreak havoc, and would be confronted with Anne that has gained more knowledge, is fully prepared to face him, and possibly brought Miss Planner along. Since the planners are on Earth right now, and the show mostly follows Anne, for quite a while we'll be left in the dark about Marcy's condition. But my guess is that she will be saved somehow. In fact, Marcy cannot die. The prophecy clearly depicts 3 humans fighting the beast, and one of them even looks like Marcy. Coming back to what I said earlier in the video, following the latest teleportation, the green gemstone's power may have re-entered Marcy. Having seen the Calamity Power's true potential in the season finale, there's no doubt healing an otherwise fatal wound is feasible. I must admit though, Anne going full Super Saiyan did surprise me to say the least. Intriguingly, Andrias distinctly referred to Anne's powers as the gift. He knows what the wielders of the gifts are capable of, and he feared the girls could have posed a serious threat to his master, which is why he was delighted to witness Anne having next to no control over the gift. But reversing the situation reveals that the wielder can indeed get the hang of it. Now remember what we discussed a few minutes ago. Andrias originally wished for his friends to support his conquest. For all we know, he could have wanted the 3 of them to carry the gifts and laid out to them how to gain full control of the powers. This valuable piece of information will be passed down to Anne if she really does meet Miss Planner, and unquestionably the gifts will be the beast's downfall. Amphibia's true climax will occur after the big fight though. Now that the common enemy is gone, Anne, Marcy and Sasha still have to deal with their personal issues. Marcy's betrayal was basically exactly what we expected. Her actions were undoubtedly wrong and extremely selfish, but at least she didn't know of Andrias' true intentions. It would have been simply insane had she known and still agreed to the deal. What she did was just suiting for her character, because she's always been too focused on her own stuff and had trouble understanding how others feel. But usually whenever she messed up, she admitted her mistakes later on and learned from them. I feel season 2 provided enough instances that show Marcy did undergo some growth. At least Marcy will not stand off against Anne like Sasha did. Sasha's case is still awfully difficult, because she disappointed and betrayed Anne over and over until the very end of season 2. Substantially, she used up all of her chances, and her relationship with Anne will surely suffer from this in the long run. However, Anne verbally cutting ties with her was like a slap in the face that at least got her reconsidering her future. Hopefully, Marcy's near-death experience and the final battle will open Sasha's eyes once and for all, because if she doesn't prove she's trustworthy in the final arc, she won't get another opportunity. I feel most importantly, Marcy and Sasha must properly apologize to Anne for her to forgive them. Anne is a genuinely good person, and she absolutely hates having to mistrust others. When she faced off against Andrias in the latest episode, she told him that while he was utterly evil, the girls made mistakes. In other words, she acknowledges that neither Marcy nor Sasha purposely wanted to hurt anyone. To my ears, that strongly sounds like she would be willing to work things out one day. Obviously, everything that happened can be forgiven, but not forgotten. Fact is, the show is going to end quite soon, and we should be prepared. In the meantime, you should subscribe to Frogtoons for more interesting Amphibia and cartoon content. See you next time.